motion to approve?
Motion to approve.
And I'll take the other as a second. Is there any discussion, changes, or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. I don't believe there's any old business. New business. First case, DR 19-14, request for design review at 306 West River Drive, CD Downtown Zoning District. Build 2 security fences at the Ground Transportation Center. Joe Reagan, Davenport Community Schools petitioner.
You wanna come on up, chair over there for you.
I can stand.
Whatever's comfortable for you.
Good evening, my name is Joe Reagan. I'm the project manager for Davenport Schools. At the New Creative Arts Academy, we have an east and a west stairs that people can kind of get up into and hang out. So we'd like to enclose that area with some vertical square tubes going all the way up to the ceiling. And then there'll be 2 36-inch double gates at the end with push panic bars. So it still is good for exit in case of a fire emergency.
I was a little confused by this drawing because it says something about security panels. Are those actually just indicating the wrought iron
Yeah, those
panels?
they'll come in panels, and then they'll go all the way up.
Alright, so it's all strictly wrought iron. You can see through the entire
Yes.
thing. And painted.
Suggesting they be painted. Granted, it's a very 80s color, but
They wanted to
try to match
paint it the
the
same.
existing,
Flesh color.
I don't know what you call that.
Yeah.
And then, is there a gate just at the base of the stairs?
Yep, it's like 2 metal doors, and bars, and it's gonna open up, and on the outside there'll be a key that you can open it.
Do you use those stairs, or are they only for emergency?
Only for emergencies.
Oh, okay.
But people get up there and they,
Yeah. Yeah.
kind of live up there sometimes.
Sure,
so.
yeah.
So can you indicate on that photograph exactly how far to the, is it to the south that those panels would go?
I plan to go right here, over, and then the doors will be like right up here on the other side of that post.
So they're not going all the way to that next column? Is that what you're saying? Or
Correct.
to the right?
I was thinking just right here, so they can kind of climb up when we get in.
Okay. It's not a great architectural detail to sort of cut it right into the stairway. Could you go all the way to the,
I could.
where the stairs at least intersect the ceiling, maybe?
Like right here?
Yeah.
Okay.
What do you guys think?
Yeah, I mean,
I'd go to the column.
I would say, would it make more sense to just go all the way to that second column and box it in that way?
Is the gate, or is the fence line right up tight against the stairway itself?
Yes.
So there's no gap between the
Right.
railing of the stairs and the new fence, right?
Correct. But you can still use the railing to drain.
Okay.
It's not pushing up against it. But you can't climb.
So I
in
think it'd be
between it either.
difficult to go, it's really, the column's in a different plane
yeah,
than the
Correct.
stairway, right?
Right.
yeah. So, yeah, I think where the stairs intersect the ceiling would be probably
Mm-hmm.
the natural point to end it.
Yeah, if you think of it, I agree, otherwise it would be better. Okay, anybody else have any questions or thoughts? I'm glad that it's open so you can still see in from just a security standpoint. What sort of lock is gonna be on it? You said panic, is that right?
Yep.
All right,
It'll be a
anybody?
key lock, and we'll be sure the city gets a key too. So.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions? Somebody wanna make a motion?
I would move to approve with the color being painted the same and bringing it to where the stairs intersect the ceiling there.
Okay.
Thank you, Jeff. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Zay. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, next case, DR 19-15, request for design review at 432 West Third Street, CD Downtown Zoning District, 2 wall-mounted signs, Doug Foderberg, petitioner. Hello.
Hi.
All right, what you got?
Basically, it's a 1-inch tube frame with a aluminum cover painted black with white vinyl on it. On the front side of the building, the next slide is on the west side of the building. It's on the corner.
So you're basically filling up the entire upper,
Yeah, right now it's covered with oriented strand board, basically particle board that's been painted black. So what we're doing is we're putting an aluminum panel over it to seal that off and basically make it a little more aesthetically pleasing and clean it up a little bit.
looks pretty straightforward, not lit.
No, ma'am.
So it's just gonna cover what's already there then, that's
Yes.
the idea.
Yeah, if you look at this one down here, this is existing, and this is just a painted wood panel that's starting to
Yeah.
peel and crack, and we're covering it with 56 1/4 by 79-inch aluminum panel.
Is there glass under that, Doug? Or
No.
is it-
Nope, it's wood.
I looked at the 80s, the site inventory, it's historic. And I looked at the 80s and it still had that, it looks like there's probably glass there at one time, you'd have to presume, but even in the 80s, historic site inventory form showed a covering.
So-
And it's
Hey, Matt,
kinda
can you
big
go
and
up to
fills
the-
up the space.
The slide just before that. So is that iron to the side of it that looks like it's painted kind of a teal color?
Yes, I believe it's an iron column of some sort. Decorative, I think. I don't know if it has any structural.
support.
So you guys can see in the bottom that that's the existing, so you can see how this was, I assume, just a temporary sign you guys put up when you.
Yeah, they had done that with another company, and it's just a,
When they move.
When they moved from the flood,
yeah,
right.
it's just a vinyl banner that's up there now.
All right. Any questions?
Pretty straightforward.
Try to make it that way.
Okay, yeah.
So do we.
Go away, Doug.
It's, good quality
to do
materials,
panelists,
though.
yeah.
Yeah. Is there a motion to,
Motion to approve?
all right, thank you. Is there a second? Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Can I move up there since I'll be back in a minute?
Okay. Next case, DR 19-16, request for design review at 1111 Jersey Ridge Road, Village of East Davenport, 2 wall-mounted signs, Rebecca Sebastian, petitioner.
Hey,
Hi, Rebecca.
I don't have professional answers for you, but I'll answer about my sign, and here's the materials.
Okay, we like materials.
I'm not a designer, I'm a business owner. Do you have it? If not, I have paper copies that I brought with me. too.
We'll have it up here in just 1 second. What is that?
It's it's an
Acrylic?
aluminum composite. Yeah, it's aluminum with plastic inside.
Hmm.
It's used a lot.
Oh, except they're backwards. So the sign on the bottom would be the
Mhm.
big sign over the building, and the sign on the top would be the small sign off to the side.
Oh, okay.
So you have them correct, it's just in your visual, they're opposite.
So,
I
okay,
guess from here, you can't see the sign off to the side
Well,
either.
it- yeah. Can you?
Am I in the way, by
Nope,
the way?
you're.
Nope,
No.
nope.
So, okay, so the 4x8 sign,
It's gonna be the bottom image.
Yes.
oh, I see. So the 4x8 sign actually gets the full circle, and smaller
ma'am.
sign gets the partial circle, but
Yes, ma'am.
in location, this big sign goes where it's pointing to. The 4x8 goes on the,
So the 4x8 will actually go to where the long arrow is,
oh,
Oh, really?
it's the
so
bigger one.
swap 'em.
Oh,
Oh.
So that's a huge sign.
Is there room?
Well,
Are those, are all 4x8 signs up there? Under the McClellan Commons is all 4x8 signs?
No, they're the 26 by 43 signs. Okay,
Oh.
so
Yeah.
let me explain.
I think it's
Keep Anna
right.
white for a second.
Perfect.
This sign goes here, in spite of what this arrow indicates,
Right.
and this sign goes here.
For the
The-
look,
The sizing is correct though, right, where they're being placed?
Yes.
okay,
Okay.
so just the design is flipped,
Okay.
but the size is right.
Yes, ma'am.
Gotcha.
Okay.
All right. And that is the background, and is that the actual color too?
Mhm.
Is there already signage there that you're replacing?
So there is a temporary banner set up with my business, and underneath that was a sign from a previous business, so I will be replacing that sign with my sign, yes.
Okay, in both cases, or,
Matt,
What?
I have street view if you just wanna go up.
Oh,
So-
in the packet?
on the, right, is there also a sign there right now that you're replacing?
No, but the owner from Freddy's Fritters has agreed to move her sign to the side, so that our signs are right next to each
So
other.
they're balanced.
Yeah.
Correct,
Okay.
so they don't look like they're tipping off to the
Gotcha.
side,
So,
yeah.
So is that, whoop, Matt, can you go back?
We have an existing
To this?
photo. Keep going.
Well, no, I'm curious, is the next drawing in the application that shows a kind of a detail in the corner?
Oh, yeah, this one?
That one, yes.
It has the corners are
The
clipped?
corners are clipped like
Oh.
that? I didn't know what that was.
So I believe my sign person offered alternatives to what just a square sign would look like, trying to make it look more like what he thinks is East Villagey.
It's a good term, East Village.
East Villagey.
I like it.
None of the other signs have that.
Yeah, honestly, it's a pretty modern design, I think, you know. I'd stay with it rectangular,
I love that you said that, cause I feel that way too.
yeah.
But also, I want a sign for my business.
Right, all right.
So
Yeah.
if you said put a corner on it, I'd say, okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's just my feeling as a sign guy, and I know, you know, you try to make things blend with the village or be relative to it, but, yeah.
I think that was his
I
concern.
just don't think those scalloped corners work with your more modern look.
Yeah, especially with the building and.
Yeah, and what your business is, yeah, I would, you know,
I actually
Stay.
brought paper flyers with everything with my business, it's all very modern, so,
yeah.
yeah.
So the one concern I do have is that on this building, it's almost like this building is getting kind of cluttered with signage. And
Sure.
it sort of looks like the building's becoming a directory.
Yeah.
And then
Oh,
you've got
sure.
this other sign right here.
What, the McClellan sign?
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
she's had that
you're driving down Jersey Ridge
forever.
and all of a sudden you're gonna see this building with
Mhm.
a whole bunch of signs
Whereas
that,
if you did one unified, multi-tenant commercial sign, how they're defined in the ordinance, you
right,
probably have a better product, but I don't think there's really a way to force that.
Yeah, and at least if they center those two under
Right.
that top thing, it'll look a lot nicer.
is there an association in the Heights that does any kind of,
There
Have
is
any
a
conversation
business
about that?
association,
Association.
I have mused recently that usually we're in pretty close contact with them, but I haven't had any contact, with anybody from the East Village Business Association for quite a while. I couldn't even tell you who the, president is.
I think Jennifer
you know?
Chen is.
I think it's
Who?
Julie from Camp McClellan Sellers. I
Is she
do
the-
believe,
Okay.
for sure, I know she does at least the social media and the newsletter.
Yeah, I thought Jennifer Chen was president, but, I
That-
mean,
that
they
could be too.
switch
Yeah.
back and forth. Tom Lago was, and then Paul Snell, I think, was.
Right.
does anybody else have any comments or thoughts or concerns?
I guess I echo your concerns with the corner there, and, I mean, that's right on the corner, and it looks like a conglomeration of just kinda ad hoc signs, like that one's just kinda there.
Yeah, I think I'd feel better if they were like centered or something.
Well, they're going,
Well, and
they're
that's-
they're
Oh, they're
gonna be,
going to?
yeah, they're
Yep, they're gonna
gonna,
move
Yes.
the,
Okay, well, then I
Yeah.
get it.
yeah, the one right under McClellan will be moved to the left.
Oh, they are?
so-
yeah,
Yeah,
So then the
Yeah.
two.
so they'll be centered underneath the
Right.
McClellan Commons sign, they will
Yep.
be equaled out, yeah.
Mm.
And that bottom Camp McClellan with the grapes there can't be moved. That actually is there, but the Freddy's Fritters, you can't tell it's Freddy's Fritters based on this visual. The Freddy's Fritters and her long sign that says pet grooming next to it
Mhm.
will be moved over to the left so that it's equal underneath there.
Okay,
Mhm.
Yeah.
she's on board with it?
Yes.
Okay.
I think, another suggestion would be to help kind of unify those two signs, if maybe this one, yours could have like a black or something to tie the
Oh,
two
the
together
border,
a little
like
bit, so it just
a
looks a
frame.
little bit more like it's a
Sure.
unified thing.
So to make sure that I'm clear about that, so the sign that's going under Camp McClellan Commons,
Right.
right, that's what it says?
Mm-hmm.
To have a black outline around it, like her Freddy's
Mhm.
Fritters, yeah, I don't care, that's fine.
So that they, you know what I mean, so
Oh,
it
yeah,
looks like
you
it's a
have a better
little
visual
bit
than I do.
more
They look more
connected
similar
into
that
a
way.
directory rather than just a bunch of signs stuck
Sure.
on the.
Yeah, yeah, I have no
Good
issue there.
idea. All right.
Is
Any
the
other
awning
thoughts?
coming down?
no. Which awning in the corner there?
Yeah.
No, that's,
It's different,
That's
that's
actually
photographer, yeah, giraffe
photography now, yeah, a different business, I think, than even what's being shown there.
Yeah, that's Revolution, so that's a pretty old picture, actually.
And are those signs the same size?
Yes,
Freddy Fritters, and
yes,
so with the black border, they'd be
The-
identical?
yes.
I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay, anybody else have any comments? Somebody wanna make a motion?
Motion to, okay,
with the blackboard.
Yeah, with the mo-
Is there a second?
second.
Thank you. All in favor, say aye.
I,
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Great, thank you very much.
Thanks.
Thanks for bringing everything down.
Oh, sure. Do you want me to collect my things? I'll recycle them for you. Thanks all.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
Okay, where are we? Case DR 19-17, request for design review at 320 East Second Street, CD Downtown Zoning District, projecting wall sign, Justin Grubbs petitioner.
Good afternoon.
Hey, Justin.
So basically, it is, I think, a fairly straightforward idea. We'd like to get a sign out in front of our business so people have an easier time finding us. I know right now a lot of them tend to sort of drive around the block for a while. There's a pole already installed that was there when we moved into the space. So we just sort of want to take advantage of that to get something hanging up there.
So tell us about the materials.
I believe that it is aluminum printed on.
So it looks like it's a banner, but it's really not,
That's
right?
that's a piece of poor Photoshop on my part.
So it will be a rigid.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Is it a box? Is it on
Yeah,
both
it
sides?
is square and it will be on both sides.
Okay.
Is this gonna be lit from the inside, is that correct?
Yes. So the words will be lit and the light bulb should be, slightly visible at night as well.
Is that the only signage you have then, or do you have other signage on the building?
I think we've got, in the window you can see we have our name in there, and then we use that sort of sandwich board, and that's about it.
What's the address again?
320 East 2nd Street.
Right next to the
Next to
brewery,
Great
right,
River.
Great River Brewing,
Ah, okay.
across from Half Nelson. Will you still use that sandwich board then too?
I think there's no reason we would stop necessarily.
Those are permitted, they're not permitted. Ideally, they should be brought in, they should only be out during business hours or if probably not adhere to universally, but, again, just signage that's pedestrian oriented, but at the same time is functional to the degree that people driving by can see where they're going.
Mm-hmm. So there's no other exterior signage on the building right now?
No.
Okay. Anybody else have any questions?
Motion to approve?
All right, thank you. Is there a second? Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very
very
much.
much.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for coming over.
Yeah.
All right.
Rolling.
Yeah, rolling. DR 19-18, request for design review, 200 block of East Second Street. New mixed-use building, Dan Drendel for Merge Urban Development petitioner. Now, this looks exciting.
I brought materials.
Awesome. We love materials.
That's what I hear.
Again, we gave them a little sneak peek at
Mhm.
the last meeting, so.
Great.
They were somewhat familiar with the project, it's gotten a little publicity, so.
That's awesome. So I'm Dan Drendel, one of 3 principals at Slingshot Architecture out of Des Moines, and we work with Merge Urban Development throughout the Midwest on opportunity zone development, mixed use in nature in downtowns in several cities throughout the Midwest, in Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, South Dakota now, and maybe Missouri.
We have an opportunity zone hot off the press.
Yeah, go for it. So, yeah, the building's pretty straightforward, goes on the infill site at this location, the grassy area. But from a site planning perspective, wanted to make sure that we capitalize on all of the great existing trees and green space that are there. So, and really, the building functionally doesn't need to be so deep that it would have to take over the trees that are in the back part of the site. So that walkway and the trees in the north part of the site will really become a courtyard behind the building. Units will look out onto that space. And then we're setting back enough off of the pedestrian path to the convention center to have a patio function there. We always want to focus on an active ground plane that provides places for people to gather and potential uses for spill out of retail spaces. So the ground plane divides up into, if you want to show a plan real quick so I can tell you.
Floor plan?
Yeah, that's fine. So this one's fine. This is a sketch. So the path to the convention center, larger retail bay here that could be subdivided if needed, but 3,000 square feet is kind of a good sweet spot for a cafe type use or multiple types of uses. And then we divide up a lot of the street frontage into micro retail spaces that can be suited for more entrepreneurial retailers, and everyone's linked in a corridor behind 2 restrooms in the back and mechanical space in the back. But the build out of these spaces is also not cost prohibitive to somebody starting up a business. Then from an urban design perspective, this gives us a really rich street frontage that's kind of at the same scale as a historic downtown, where we don't have really big retail bays. We have lots of entry points and front doors for an active pedestrian experience. And then same thing with the residential lobby to let that front and put a glass entry point on the main street again. The site, the only note on this that isn't going to pan out at all is the explore access easement to go through the adjacent site. The grade there is really not going to prohibit, or it's going to prohibit that and not make that possible. So the idea is that we're proposing a curb cut where it says cars there and loading space where we can service trash, we can service a transformer, and then move-in type use, like you could park a moving truck there and be off the street and move into the lobby. But for the most part during the day, when it's not being used for any of those infrequent activities that I just described. It'll be an entry plaza for pedestrians and gathering.
Where will these people park that live
In
here?
the ramp,
There's access, they'll,
well,
the
they'll be
Reds- the
outside.
Downtown doesn't,
Mid-American ramp?
downtown doesn't require parking. That being said, it is in the Constitution, parking. Thou shalt.
Thou shalt
Get it.
provide a parking place.
I
came
can't,
down
but
from Saturday,
there's,
took
there,
me 30 seconds to find a
It-
spot.
It doesn't relate to our,
30
I'm just
seconds.
curious.
You were probably curious.
there is space in the Mid-American ramp, there's space in the Redstone ramp.
How many
there's
units
other
are there?
opportunities.
It's a mix of 1-bedrooms and studios. You can see the concept plan here down at the bottom. And so the smaller micro units look out onto the courtyard, the larger 1-bedroom units look out onto the street space with a little bit more view to it. Balconies we're proposing really at the ends of the building, looking into those courtyard type spaces.
Is it that side
And
or
then
is
the
it that
upper
side?
part of the building is metal panel and glass, two different types. So one you're looking at here, the standing seam mix of this, and then the more reflective glossy material banded with the windows then. So you can see it's a little bit more reflective.
Sitting on the
And that-
microphone.
The concept of the building for us was all about the uses of texture inside of the one color, and then signifying entry with some clear anodized louvers over the entry points of the larger retail bay and the lobby. Then the upper story metal panel comes down over those micro retail units that I talked about, so that really the larger retail bays in the lobby are signified or wayfind, or have a natural
Accentuated.
wayfinding to them, just in the articulation of the building.
So this is what goes under the windows? Is that
Yeah.
what-
And probably not with the shape of that panel. There's a flat version of that.
Oh, okay, so it won't have that dimension to it.
That's the idea. So metal, or the storefront will be black, anodized, but you can see the horizontal louver over the doors would be clear anodized to set off against the building, and then we would see signage being either in like a white like that or similar, depending on what our users end up with, but something
And-
high contrast.
And how is this fastened?
So there's a clip system to it
Clip system?
inside the reveal there.
Do
Do
we have
they-
a, I'm sorry.
No, I'm just gonna, does the material have a tendency of getting dirty? I mean, I just think of a
Yeah.
black car. Black
Sure.
car will look dirtier quicker than a white car.
Sure. We've definitely used it before. I don't think we've really seen any unique streaking to it or anything like that. So it stays relatively clean. It's a good finish without much ability to catch.
Cool.
I've got 10-year-old silver panels that also have a little bit of dirt on them, need to be washed.
Right.
Some more stuff. Black masonry, another texture with the new palette is the idea.
And is the glass clear glass?
Yeah, so definitely down on our storefront levels, we always try to make sure that we work with the energy code to balance the most clear glass we can get. So we're typically doing clear glass on storefront levels, and then we're doing as clear of a low E coating as we can get on the upper levels, which do pretty well. So not to the point of like low iron on level
Mhm.
1, but definitely clear.
But not the bronzy color or anything like that?
No, and yeah, so everything will definitely appear clear, but any low E coating on a ground floor level will be very reflective, which isn't great for storefronts. So that's
And
why we're
then-
trying to shade them with a little bit of shading, and
Uh-huh.
then also letting the upper floor overhang over the micro units.
So will there be a unified shading inside the units? Will everybody all have the same kind of window treatment
Yeah.
or something, so it doesn't look
Yeah.
hodgepodgey?
Yeah, we just reviewed that in a contractor meeting today.
Okay. And what about mechanical systems? Are they on the roof?
Yeah, we're working on the specifics of it, but as far as appearance to the street, we don't go through the wall, we go up to the roof with condensers or like a mini split type system. We're working on what's the right solution for the smaller units that we're doing.
And there'll be some sort of screening around the units on the roof?
Can be, usually they're not visible just due to the parapet condition here,
Okay.
but I don't know if you guys you have something in your ordinance
We
to
do.
screen them.
Yep.
No problem. I don't think you'll see it from any of these places, but we can totally screen them. We've done it before.
Yeah,
Is there-
probably only the Black Hawk be able to see it.
Is there a plan or a thought process in terms of signage for the retail businesses as they become established to, like, are there gonna be, I know you talked about maybe white signs or something like that, but is there space built in for them along that frontage to be able to put signage up, and is there a thought process in terms of unifying that down the road?
Similar to how the paradigm that was just presented to you had an existing frame on the building,
Mhm.
a lot of times we can work in, and that would be my proposal here,
Okay.
that on the underside by the retail base.
I'm envisioning this building goes up and then all these businesses have to come in.
Right.
To try and get signs up
The
and-
brands are displayed. So at the piers with a blade sign that hangs down under the overhang on this part, and then
Okay.
these will be able to be a little bit more custom, right?
Mhm.
But there's some wall surface here, and maybe we could also give them a blade sign location there.
Okay.
But we usually provide the frame or the, like the aluminum panel that you can then put vinyl on.
Right.
Is the mortar also gonna be dark?
I think so.
So it'll look pretty monolithic when you
Yeah,
get
it's
done?
good, yeah. Just all texture.
And, are the developers planning to include the streetscaping in their plan as
Already
well?
have streetscape.
It's already in.
It's
It
already-
exists, so
Yes. Oh,
either
is it?
hopefully makes it through construction or
Leave it
goes back
alone.
in as it.
It's a little bit of the old school, it's got the raised planter, which is not ideal, cause it's kind of a trip hazard, but it's out there. But
Okay, and I know the city's going through and changing out all the decorative lighting to LED roadways, so that'll be good. Is there any other lighting on the building?
Yeah, we'll light probably on this building, out of the soffit and wash the brick will be the idea. So that the ground plane is lit and active.
I think it's great.
Yeah,
we should,
beautiful.
with the streetlights down there, we should be, just keep in mind when you get going, we can retrofit some screening or things like that for your residential uses. Some of those older lights have they didn't have a screen at the top.
You throw a
So-
light up into the windows.
Yeah, we can retrofit those, so
Okay.
I just keep that in mind during
That'd be great.
construction.
So they don't get out there with their cans of black spray. can.
Exactly. That has happened.
It has happened. Anybody else have any questions? Any concerns? What's your time frame on this?
We have a vote tomorrow night. Do you wanna talk a little bit?
Yeah, so I'm Brent Dahlstrom with Merge Urban Development. There's still the city process. We have to have approval on Wednesday. And if all goes well, we would be digging first thing in the spring, which spring in Iowa is now May.
You never know.
If you're lucky, yeah.
Or last week.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And when they say they need a vote, this is city-owned property, so it's
Yeah.
the conveyance of the property.
Yeah. Cool.
How tall is the River Center? Is this comparable in height to that, or is it taller? Just trying to get a proportion idea.
To
The main hall in the River Center.
we estimated it there in the back in white. I don't know how scientifically we're there.
So it's maybe
Comparable,
about the
you know.
same, maybe this
It
is
might
5
be- we
stories
might-
high, so this
Yeah,
is.
we might be a story above it or so.
How tall
That
is the
parapet.
building?
So we're usually about 65, I think. So this is roughly the parapet. I would say it's kind of around 4th story. As estimated. Masonry?
I don't think the River Center's 65.
No,
Might be
not the
50
Great
or
Hall.
something in the 40s.
Mid-American's 11 stories high.
Correct.
Well, on top of a 6-story.
I think that's including it, maybe. Okay, I was just
What we were
curious.
shooting for on this one too, that's a great question. You know, there's a lot of different heights in this neighborhood. There's the historic brick across the street, and then there's the River Center, and there's the garage that's got some height to it too.
Mhm.
So we were trying to kind of play within all of that and have the masonry play some of those lower datums and fit into the neighborhood, but still have the height and the density.
Well, and the Peterson Paper Building's taller too.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
right down the street too, so that adds another
Yeah.
balance, I think, to this. Anybody else? Somebody wanna make a motion?
Motion to approve.
Thanks, Joe. Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Right,
Thank
very
you.
good. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much.
Guys.
It's exciting.
We're excited too.
Building materials are not easy to transport, are they?
And some will cut the
Yeah, and they're
graphite.
dangerous.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you guys are packing up. We're gonna move on to case DR 19, where am I? 19, request for design review at 208 East River Drive, CD Downtown Zoning District, replace sign in existing cabinet. Pamela Diedrich, petitioner.
I am not Pamela.
Really?
I'm sure you're all able to figure that out.
Thanks very
but
much.
She was otherwise engaged, so I was enlisted to fill in. Is this the Front Street or the Piggott one?
This is front, well,
Yeah, that's the.
Front Street.
Front Street's first. You doing both of those? Where is it?
Keep those.
Oh, here it is. Okay.
So I think the design of the sign is a little bit more consistent with design regs. It's a little darker with the
Yeah.
lighter lettering.
Yeah, if you look again, scroll down just a little, you can see the existing and then what's new, and it's basically replacing the acrylic faces with updated for their new logo. And as was stated, the darker colors tend to be a little bit more of what would be considered period.
And it is lit, backlit? It's hard to tell when they say night view, what, it doesn't look any different than the day view.
Finishing this to new, I believe that it is because the existing one is. And again, I apologize, this is not my project.
Doesn't say.
And I don't have the quote, it doesn't say it on there.
It says white acrylic faces with digital print.
Right. Which could be backlit or not. I'm assuming, do you remember if the existing one's lit? And I don't have night views of what's
I don't
down there.
remember if it is or not.
Presume it is.
That's my
You probably
understanding.
wouldn't use acrylic if
If it
it
wasn't.
if it wasn't.
wasn't.
You'd
No.
probably use a ACM or something.
Yeah.
Is the acrylic's more translucent?
Well, yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's it's more expensive to use probably than if if you weren't gonna have it lit.
But given that they are a business that is open at night, you wanna be lit.
Yeah, I did the previous faces for them, and we approved them here years ago when I put those in. And I didn't do, I'm pretty sure all the bulbs, that it was backlit, but Steve Zeidema, who owned it then, there were these spotlights that were so bright that it really didn't give the sign a good chance
Oh,
to
yeah.
show itself, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I
Especially
told
being lighter like the old one was.
yeah, so.
It's nice.
Mm-hmm.
Anybody have any other comments, questions? Motion?
Move to approve.
Thank you. Is
I'll
there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Very nice. I like that look. Okay, and then we have case DR 1921. Did we miss 20?
19 is stated twice.
Oh.
The number?
Oh, sorry, I didn't even catch that. Thank you. 19-21, request for design review at 221 East Second Street, CD downtown zoning, new horizontal metal panel.
No, we should be on G.
Yeah.
right?
Oh, did I?
That should be 20.
Yep.
Sorry.
The 111 Perry Street.
DR 1920, request for design review at 111 Perry Street, CD downtown zoning district 2, projecting wall signs.
Unlit. It's written in this one.
Okay, that is,
We just wanna see the mounting hardware through the brick and not the mortar, right?
Smash through the brick.
we learned, I don't know, I can't tell from this. So this is a new sign, there's not one there now, correct?
You look down at the existing ones, there is nothing there at this point. Down the existing down below. So this one is gonna be right next to the new one you just approved for Front Street. This is right on that corner there.
So this is, so the one on the left is on River Drive, correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then the one on the right is on Perry Street.
Correct.
What is this business?
It's an interior design business,
Yes.
commercial interior design. Is there also gonna be a sign on the front? 'Cause neither of these are the front of the building.
Well, yeah, Front Street is, or River Drive's technically the front, I think.
Well, that's not their entrance, so
Oh,
their entrance is
is in
gonna
the back?
face out
Back.
someplace.
This is all that I've been given. I don't think they're putting anything, I don't know.
I don't know, this is scale is. You guys think about the scale.
Do they show one on the River Drive?
If you scroll the picture,
Oh, okay.
the picture on the left,
Yeah, if
Well,
you
yeah, it's
move
out of,
everything.
it's out of frame, yeah.
yep.
3.5 feet, 3.5.
There we go.
Oh, sorry about that.
So really, that digital image is not to scale, not quite the right
Right.
scale.
Yes, it does
Is
say that to scale down there at the bottom. I just noticed that too when I was looking at it.
How big are these? Are they like 4 by 4?
42 by 42.
42 by 42?
No.
Oh, yeah.
So that's gonna project out from the building 4 feet.
Yeah, a little bit more than the 42 because of the offset from the building.
Are they gonna have some depth? Is it gonna be an aluminum frame with faces? or-
Flat aluminum panel.
Yeah, no, it's just a panel.
Okay.
The tube frame would be the bracket that holds it.
What did staff say about this one? Did you guys?
We don't have an issue with it. I mean, it's a darker sign, typically, you don't, 4 feet is about how far you want a blade sign to extend.
So the only thing is though, that this is a multi-tenant building. And we've been saying for a long time that we weren't going to have people, single tenants, put signs on multi-tenant buildings.
That's a good point.
Cause then all of a sudden, what happens when the tenant on the second floor wants to hang a banner out?
Now, I think when the discussion we kinda had with, and obviously the Redstone's a local historic landmark, but I think what we talked about was exterior sign adjacent to that tenant space, however, the upper levels would have kind of a directory, and not exterior signage.
And we denied some for Executive Square when they came and wanted to put signs on the exterior of their building a long time ago.
Trying to remember that one. I remember there was a chiropractor in there doing
without our permission.
So, I think we've done at street level adjacent to their tenant space. And then that's the conversation I remember, and then upper levels were more of a directory.
Is this the only tenant on the first floor?
I don't know the answer to that.
Oh, is Front Street moving into the, I don't know what their status is. They were going to move into the ground floor and have like an event center.
I don't know.
Hmm.
And, I mean, I don't even know if these guys are on the first floor. Are they on the first floor?
Question.
It's good,
I
yeah,
know,
it's a
yeah.
great question.
I have big concerns about going down this road.
That's fair. I know we've had that conversation in the past.
Hmm.
Sounds like you may want some more information.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think we do. What do the rest of us think?
I agree. We don't have enough information.
I mean, you know, it's hard to, as a sign guy, I mean, it's hard to tell people they can't have a sign. Like, if there were restrictions, I mean, if the person upstairs wants to put something out, it should replicate what's down below, I mean, in size and, you know, I can see where you don't want all kinds of different, you know, people's logo. If you give them parameters and say, well, your sign's gotta be 42 by 42, you know, it's gotta look just like this, you know.
Okay, so
But-
then the next guy comes and says, I want a 42 by 42 sign on, somewhere on this building too. I mean,
Yeah,
all
yeah.
of a sudden it's gonna look like we
Yeah.
have signs
Yeah.
sticking out all over the place.
Yeah.
Generally, I don't think people on the second or third floor would expect to have a sign out. It's the main floor people that.
That are gonna get the walk-in. potential.
Exactly. And the ones upstairs are generally more office-oriented, that don't need foot traffic kind of stuff.
So we're
But we
assuming
don't
these guys are on the
know-
first floor.
We
That's
don't
that
know
is
where
an
you think
assumption.
it's, office spaces though.
Right.
Yeah.
And we don't know how much space they're taking up, right? I mean, are there other businesses in the building?
Yeah, I know there are. This is in my neighborhood.
Right.
And I know there's several other businesses in this building, and they have a big sign that faces Emerson Place.
They are Suite 100, if that helps.
Oh,
Just
good.
look up their
Thank you.
address.
Probably means first floor then.
Yeah.
I mean, I get it if it's a, you know, a restaurant or a retail. I don't know if these guys are retail or not.
I only sell office furniture.
But I think we do have to just be careful about multi-tenant buildings and how many signs we allow. And in the past, we've said, you know, there's a building sign and then it's, you know, either a directory inside if there's an elevator lobby, which I assume this has an elevator lobby because it's multi-story.
You know what? I don't know where the elevator is in that building.
It's in
Didn't
the
they
rear
recently
entrance.
build
It's-
a elevator shaft on the north side?
Yeah, there's an elevator and there's a directory right to the right of the, I used to change it out for them all the time, but that was when it was Riverbend Financial. I don't even know who's in there, if they moved out of, I don't know.
They moved out, yeah.
Did they?
Well, I thought, Bluffstone bought the
Yes, that's
property,
whose
but I don't
sign
know
is
if
on
they're
the,
still- I don't know if they're still in there or not.
there's signs on the north side of the building. But, well, I guess, what do you guys wanna do? You wanna table it until we get more information? It sounds like we now know that they're on the first floor.
Have we not approved people coming before us with
Yes.
this type of thing? So how fair is that to them if we approve this, you know?
Is there signage on the other side, on the Emerson Place side, like a directory type? Is there something there already?
There's a
Should we
bunch
know?
of signs. I don't
Most of them
remember,
are,
I
"Don't
haven't
park
paid
here."
attention to what they say.
Yeah.
What's that?
Really
I
are.
said most of them are,
Yeah.
no parking, we will tow you, and I park there anyway when I go to Front Street, but.
I think we
Park
need
in
more
my lot.
information. I think we need more information. It doesn't look like it's a walk-up entry
Yeah.
It looks like it's just, I'm staking my claim for.
Yeah, it seems odd that there's no entrance.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's the entrance right,
Right.
right there.
Right.
See, there's all those.
Ooh, yeah, there is a lot.
And I know that we never approved any of those signs.
Nope,
Mm.
I didn't put them up.
I didn't either.
So what's, like you said, what's the say?
Can you zoom in on those?
Why wouldn't they want a sign on that side too then?
Well, see, I mean, you know, I'm not so against that with it being near the entrance. I mean, you've gotta have, when people are coming looking, you've gotta have something that tells them you're in there. But, yeah, that wasn't approved. You know, like you said, we've not seen that, but.
July 17th.
I mean, that's really tough.
Yeah.
It's
Is
tough
there
for
no
the
entrance from Perry Street?
What's that?
Is there no entrance from Perry Street? It's on
Well,
the
There-
that's,
address
there's-
is
Perry Street's on the right, so you,
Yeah, there's
I
little,
don't know,
there's steps you go up
steps.
into that little,
Okay, it just seems odd that the address is Perry. You'd think usually then that means the
Mm-hmm. Well,
access is there.
There's handrail.
yeah, see, yeah, I see a little handrail
Yeah,
right
I see
there.
what you mean.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'm surprised it's not Emerson Place, but, well, I guess I feel like we should try to be as consistent as possible when we're, you know, reviewing these kinds of things. And this is one that we have conversation about every once in a while. It comes up again. But when you think about an urban environment and, you know, many urban areas that have many more buildings than we do that are multi-tenant, you don't see a whole bunch of signs plastered all over buildings. And
And
we are the design review board, so our charge is design, and part of that is the aesthetic that we're,
Mhm.
you know, trying to protect.
yeah.
I have less concern about the one on Perry than I do the one on River Drive. The one on River Drive seems, again, like somebody said, I don't know if Jeff said, like staking your claim, you know what I mean?
It's not really an entrance there.
It's not an entrance there's no entrance on River Drive. So, I mean, I'm a little bit more at ease with the one, something like that on Perry, especially if they've got the entire first floor. And everybody else does have signage around the corner, but
Yeah, I mean, you say Bluffstone owns the building, or?
I thought they did at one
Yeah.
time.
Oh,
I think they do.
cause their sign is on the back, so it was probably their idea to have that directory, or, you know, have those signs.
well, it makes sense, that's the entrance to the building.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, and I wonder if they're also gonna add another one of these there. If they're treating that as a directory, are they also gonna put one of these there? And
I don't know.
they just haven't
That's
included that in
an
the.
excellent question.
Yeah, I mean, if we allow that, you know, those stacked signs on the back, that should be where their sign goes,
Right.
and nix these other two.
Good point. And for the size of the sign, I think it looks awkward in comparison to the size of the building. You know, one little sign here, and then you've got your whole expansive building with nothing, including doors.
Well, I'm just looking at the not to scale of 42 by 42.
It's not even
That-
close to scale.
It may be a lot smaller than it actually is.
Oh, yeah.
That's
You mean
just my
the
thought.
picture you mean might be?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
granted, it's estimated, but
It's like an 18 by 18.
that doesn't look 3.5 feet
Yeah.
square
No.
compared to the width of a door
Oh,
of
with those
36
windows,
inches.
Those windows are probably over 3 feet
Mhm.
wide at least.
Is it possible to go back and check like minutes from meetings where we have discussed this before?
Dana's spot on. Yeah.
Yeah, I think we're bound to that. I mean, not only for the reason that we've denied signage like this, but, you know, there's signs on the back of the building, if they need a sign, it should go there,
Right, yeah.
Mhm.
you know.
I think if there was nothing on the building existing, I think that would be a different conversation, but
Yeah.
I think they've
Yeah.
already set a precedent for their own space by
Mhm.
having all those back there.
Mhm.
That logically, it makes sense that these people should have their sign with everyone else's.
Yeah, I think our previous rulings trump any of that anyway, so it's like, you know, well, there's all these signs on the back, you can put one there, but, yeah.
Anybody else wanna interject anything? Any other concerns? So, somebody wanna make a motion?
To table.
Well, do we need to table, or, I mean, our options are accept, reject, or table.
I don't see how we come up with a different decision if we table it.
Motion to reject.
Okay, there's a motion
And-
on the floor to, reject, is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor of rejecting the sign presentation, say aye. Opposed? Motion carries.
I was just gonna say, it's not like a rezoning, when a rezoning gets denied, they can't come back for a whole year, nor is there an application fee, so.
Right.
Well, good conversation, thanks, everybody. Obviously, it's not easy for us to, you know, reject something, I think we take that very
Yeah.
carefully into consideration, so. Okay, last case, DR 1921, request for design review at 221 East Second Street, CD Downtown Zoning District, new horizontal metal panel. Doug Foderberg,
That's me.
petitioner.
In the flesh this time.
Oh, you aren't Pamela.
Not this
You are
time, no.
Doug.
We're so confused.
I was gonna, I
First I
forgot
got
my
the
wig,
wrong number.
I'm sorry, it would've made it easier.
All right, where are we? Here we go. Oh my goodness, these guys again.
Yeah.
Yeah, what they're looking at doing is just covering over the exposed wood that's there with the existing panel, just carrying it across to tie the front of the building together.
Mhm.
They're not
They-
gonna put any signage on it, so, existing right now, if you look at the existing, this is in through here is exposed plywood, and there's plywood in here, which they're gonna be filling that in with similar material to here. I just wanted to tile this in and move the backwater, the cat crossfit up.
We had approved a
Correct.
projecting sign, or were they ever gonna?
We,
No, they did a flat sign, the backwater?
No,
No,
the, fireside, or the exit rail,
did
yeah.
we approve that one? I know we brought it up.
Yeah,
we have the one.
we approved it.
They, yeah, you're right, we did talk about one, up in here.
Yeah.
But now that
Right.
they have decided to lease this bottom part out to Crafted QC, this vinyl is put up today. Exit Realty, you can recall over there, was centered on there, the address is over the door. Now it looks like this.
Oh,
They just wanna tie that in, and Crafted QC has the main floor, and the entrance for Exit is here. The entrance for Crafted is right there, and Exit occupies the top floor.
oh, okay.
And this, which at one time was an alley and somewhere way before any of us were around, I imagine, they turned that into a garage sort of thing, and there are a bunch of sweaty people
Yeah.
jumping around, throwing things in there, so.
I didn't realize it was plywood back there, Doug. so,
Yeah.
Yeah. Initially, we had concerns, cause it just
Can you
seemed like
scroll over just a little so we can see the
another
existing?
opportunity to put signage up.
No,
Which
that's
way?
the other way.
Remember,
See the
it's like a
existing one?
garage door
There you go.
Mhm.
And so they put a storefront there.
This is exposed right now, and we're just
I
trying to
mean,
get
all
that
of this is
covered
such a
up so
huge
it doesn't look
improvement
so-
over what was
Oh,
there.
yeah,
This is
God,
gonna
yeah,
be-
I
no
mean-
kidding.
And,
So-
yeah.
All you wanna do is cover up the existing plywood,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, and tie the whole store, the whole
Mhm.
front of the building together.
We don't have an issue then.
Yeah, there's no signage
There's
or anything
nothing,
you're
yeah.
proposing, right? Just carrying that facade?
Yeah.
Well, isn't this a new sign though, or is that already done?
The backwater one's already up. We didn't do
But
it.
the new, it's a new Exit Realty Fireside Crafted Quad Cities, that's a new sign
It-
that you're gonna make.
No, it's already done. It was approved, and you guys had approved it to say Exit Realty,
Mm-hmm.
and we just we moved Exit
Just
Realty
assumed we were
down.
gonna be okay with that, right?
Excuse me?
Well, I made the call, I made the call, 'cause it was.
I don't do that stuff on my own.
It was white gray.
Yeah.
All right,
Motion to approve.
thank you,
Second.
thank you. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Who seconded
Opposed?
that?
What?
Who seconded?
Jeff did.
Opposed? Motion carries. All right.
Thank you, everyone.
Wait,
Thank you.
I
Thank
said
you
6
very much.
o'clock.
Look at that.
Hey, all right.
Wow.
Thank you very
We're not
much.
done yet. Let's do
All
these.
right, are we adjourned? Do we
I
have any
just
other?
mention, when
general
it comes to
discussion?
these multiple tenant buildings, it's certainly in your purview to ask for a more comprehensive, you know,
A
it shouldn't be
design
just up to,
guideline?
shouldn't
We
be
need
just
to-
up to the individual tenant, you know, there is a building owner that in theory should be signing off on signage and,
Or should we have a design guideline specifically for that?
well, we can.
Yeah, for
That
multi-tenant.
would
Go
save
there
us
too.
a lot of
Yeah,
consternation.
and it's black and white and,
I've started to
And
look
we
at-
are cleaning up, the design guidelines. Ken tend to get a great job, and it was his tour de force, but it's rather verbose, and it's
Yeah,
15
sometimes that
years
can get
old,
more
so.
confusing than it is clear too, when you're adding a lot. But I do think that that's an important, you know, that's the thing that we always struggle over, and we don't wanna deny people, but I just hate the idea of driving down and seeing these, especially these historic buildings covered in
Mhm.
signs. And I mean, you have to balance the fact that, yeah, these businesses have a right to make sure that their name is where they want it to be, but we are here, we're charged with the, you know, the aesthetic part of it too.
well, it's not even just covered with signs. It's hard to say sometimes, but signage is essential, and it just needs to be done well.
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Yep.
The multi-tenant building owners should know or should, you know, have to tell their tenants, prospective tenants, you know, you're not putting signage on the front of this,
Right.
you know.
Right, and we've done that in our building, cause I don't want all those signs on my building. I don't even have a sign on my
I
building.
mean, before they sign a lease with people, they should say, now, you know, you can't be putting signs all over,
Right.
that's the deal here,
Yeah,
so.
and when you think about, I mean, we don't have a lot of huge buildings, but we have a lot of buildings that have more than one tenant
Yeah.
in
Mhm.
them. And, you know, the Redstone is another example, and, you know, it used to be in the old days, they would put, even if it was way up on the third floor, they'd put like, remember the gold letters that they put in
Oh,
the
yeah.
window for the dentist's office?
Oh, yeah.
And, you know, all that old historic stuff,
Yeah.
and that's as far as they went with it, they just would have that up in
Yeah.
their window.
So I just got a question, what's our process, you know, the one in the East Village, you know, I was kinda on the fence, you know, the colors, and I don't know.
Well, I
We
admit, I hadn't seen that.
We approved it with the border, you know, and I think that'll make it, but, I mean, I guess what's our jurisdiction when it comes to holding?
Well, you
that
can't be
company
color
responsible?
Nazis,
No, I know,
you
but holding,
As
holding,
much as I'd like
I'm just
to.
saying, holding accountable to what we approved with the dark border that
Yeah.
ties it together.
We'll
Mhm.
review
You
the
know what I'm
permit
saying?
when it comes in.
Okay,
Yep.
yeah, I agree with you, that we can't get that picky, but.
You know, I kept my mouth shut, but I think there are important properties in the East Village and there's less important properties. And I
Mhm.
agree that, you know, this is a visible spot for sure, but,
It's not a historic
signs
looking
aren't-
building
That's kinda.
signs aren't, you
Yeah.
know, forever.
with
Yeah.
45
I agree.
degrees.
especially in that spot. I
Side
mean,
views.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
it's been 4 things in the past 3 years, I think.
Mhm.
Okay.
All right, you guys, thank you all so
Thank
much,
you.
thanks for all your input.
No, I understand exactly. I don't know if she could have done anything different.
Merges is a big project, but there's other similar things cooking now.
Really?
I mean, we're out of old buildings to renovate.
That's right.
We are.
Yeah.
It's kinda
Good
cool.
luck with it.
Well, there's a bunch on the west side that
See you guys.
could
Hey.
use some love. The west
Well,
end
it-
is gonna have to be the next. I mean,
Yeah.
like, the building that the River Cities Reader is in, that's a really cool
Yeah.
old building.
Who knows what's
And
gonna
there's
happen on the
there's
wide
like a
side.
bunch of really cool ones on Third that are
Yeah.
now tattoo parlors and other things that they need
Well,
some-
now with Abernathy's on the one side, you know, what used to be the old Big Ten bar or whatever
Right.
it was.
Right.
It's pretty rough on the inside, but it's,
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and you look at what Half Nelson did with their building, I mean, that is such a cool place,
Yeah.
it really turned out nice. And, yeah, that whole area is really, hopefully we can get somebody back in where Rome was,
Yeah, it's a tough one.
I know. I wouldn't, until we figure out what we're gonna do about flood protection.
We have two kinds of flood walls. Ones that fail and the ones that will fail.
Yeah.
yep,
And then we've got the railroad flood wall now
Yep.
too.
yeah.
That's lovely.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, you guys.
Thanks.
Okay, thanks.
Key?
What?
There's key?